But there was a lot to talk about coming off of AEW Collision, because last week it was reported and announced that the Rascals were headed to AEW. This was announced on Dynamite with a graphic stating that the Rascals are coming. And on Saturday night, they made their on-screen appearance, well, at least 3/4 of the Rascals, as there was a backstage segment involving Desmond Xavier, Zachary Wentz, and Myron Reed. And they were interviewed by Lexi Nair, who was invited to inhale with them in a room full of smoke. And immediately, everyone noticed, wait a minute, where is Trey Miguel? And he has been the focus, I would say, since this segment aired on Saturday. So afterward, Trey Miguel simply posted to Instagram that he was taking a break from wrestling. Please respect my space and don't tag me in any posts or comments. Go support the Rascals still. And that was followed by news that Fightful Select reported that Miguel has been released from the AEW contract he recently signed, but that he remains on good terms with the company. All of this following the non-appearance on Collision. So we got another comment from Trey Miguel today where he posted, quote, "I've made a lot of mistakes in my time. I've always apologized and did my best to put a better foot forward after. I don't preach hate and I don't take any pride in being hateful. I'm a man of faith. I believe in forgiveness and only ever preach that. I'm a different man today." And that is all he has commented on the situation. So, I mean, we cannot state definitively what the issue at hand is. Many people have surmised there was a very homophobic response that Trey Miguel had to a fan back in, I want to say it was 2020, that it has come to people's attention. Can't say that definitively, but there is the precedent at WBD of having the issue with Jay Briscoe that you could look at as a comparison point here. But regardless, I mean, it would appear now that Trey Miguel is not under contract to AEW, and it does somewhat, it introduces the Rascals with like this big question mark and this absence that they're not coming in as the full four of them.
Yeah, we should also add to this. Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Radio commented through his sources that the decision came from higher up, something.
Yeah, not being specific of where this came from, but you could take from that this may have been, that this was a WBD call as opposed to a Tony Khan one.
That's a speculation.
Yeah, which again, like you can look at this, like if this was the 2020 post, if this was something else, like we don't know. But I mean, I don't know how much like you want to speculate if that's what you're talking about. I mean, is that something that should be, ultimately something that is going to cost you your job with the company? And it would seem that in this case, this might be an issue where this isn't even AEW has the ability to make that decision if that decision is being made for them.
Yeah, again, like we don't know enough exactly about the situation, so we can't really talk that much more about whether or not that would be a good decision or not, because we don't know if that's actually the decision or the reason why. But I guess we can talk about Trey Miguel and how, like, do we know why he wasn't a part of the WWE jump when Zach and Des went over?
To my understanding, it was just like he stayed with TNA, and I don't even know if it was a case of like his deal was up. But if you're trying to like compare this with the other, like I don't think one had to do with the other here.
Yeah,
like
sure, okay.
Like there was nothing about this. Like when he opted to stay, this being when Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz went to WWE, and as you remember, I mean with Zachary Wentz, I mean he had his own exit from WWE when the Hitler picture came out as well, but in time, I mean, he went back to TNA and even went back onto NXT after a period of time. Like he was welcome back there as well.
Yeah. But as far as Trey Miguel goes, I mean, like this is now twice that like he would have presumably had the opportunity to make that jump to one of the big two companies, and for whatever reason didn't that time. As luck would have it, like a whole nother opportunity right now And I mean, he was signed at least for a day or something. So
Yes, it might be a record for someone under an AEW contract.
yeah, are we not counting Andrade? I guess. I mean, if you
Well,
wanna count-
that's a weird one because it was like, was he even allowed to be under contract when he was supposedly?
yeah.
Yes,
But to come in with his group, like his friends, really felt like his best shot, and now he's missed that boat twice. And how does that really happen? I mean, again, we don't know all the details, but I'm sure it's incredibly heartbreaking for him. And if he wants to, like, he's taking a break right now from the industry, you can completely understand why. I don't know how you would like mentally continue if your friends have now been able to go to a high, presumably higher paying promotion with a more visible opportunity twice now, and you have not been.
yeah. I mean, it does bring about the question of like, if you are Trey Miguel, and all signs would point to he's at least going to take some kind of a break right now. I mean, this would be a very disheartening, just to imagine, like, you have made it, like, again, he stayed with TNA all this time, and to finally leave that company, make the big leap, and all of a sudden that is pulled out from under you. I mean, that's going to do a number on you mentally. But at some point, when he is looking at pro wrestling, which I would imagine that he will want to resume at some point, what then is the course of action? If AEW is a closed door, and maybe it won't be, like, maybe there will be a lot of attention on this, and maybe decisions will be overridden. But if not, is TNA, you would think TNA's got the door wide open if anyone wants to come back at this point. Is an NXT interested in a Trey Miguel, or is this going to be something that it's like they're not going to? Again, it's very hard to talk about this when you can't definitively state what is the issue at hand. Yep. And I don't really want to just be like guessing what this is. Yep. But like that's essentially what this is going to become. You would think that there would be, if all else fails, a TNA option. But that is also going to be something that is probably not going to be imminent if he's going to take some time off.
Yeah, sure. But I guess if he wanted to, I think he would immediately, like, via attention. Again, we don't know the reason why, like, I hate that we have to keep saying this, but assuming like it's not it's a reason that the public could forgive him for whatever it is that we later find out to be, if we find out what it is. I think he could immediately shoot towards the upper end of the TNA card, because I think he, at least as a wrestler, would fit the mold of what was sorely lacking from the show last Thursday. You know what I mean? And now with this story attached to him, if again, provided he, the audience will accept him, that he's the one now like left behind. I guess it doesn't make TNA sound great as the place that people who are left behind go to, but there is some story to be told of, like, the guy who's been abandoned.
Remember the story they told with Desmond Xavier as Wes Lee when Zachary Wentz got released, and then they couldn't acknowledge it on TV, but Desmond Xavier had to do this story that he's all on his own, and he'd be out by the ocean, and he's trying to, like, it was the weirdest deal, because, like, we can't say what he's dealing with, but he's been abandoned. And that was kind of Tatum Paxley's story too. It was like her allegiances were fired, and she was all on her own. And this has become like a common thread, is that, yes, the people that you are aligned with on TV get let go, and then you have to go through like a crisis of conflict.
Is TNA the ocean? I guess what is the ocean?
I guess it's
a metaphor here.
It's choppy waters, but yes, maybe it is. So we'll continue to follow the Trey Miguel story, and that's as much as you can really say about the issue. And this is one that I think would be a pretty safe one, that Tony Khan. I appreciate the question, and the Rascals are great. I'm a big fan of Desmond Xavier, of Zachary Wentz, of Myron Reed. They just debuted on Collision, which was the Maximum Carnage edition of Collision, and I'm really excited. And let's talk about Trios belts, and then we're going to talk about the next time that maybe they should have, what was the substance coming out of their room, Tony? What was the substance? What would a Tony Khan answer be for that question on the next call? January is your month to beat the price increase at the Post Wrestling Cafe. Before our regular tier jumps to $8, you have a chance to lock in the old existing price for all of 2026, but you've got to do it before February 1st. Also this month, we kick off our WWE Unreal Season 2 reviews with weekly releases covering each and every episode. We'll also be looking back at the Okada-Tanahashi feud dating back to 2012 with some of their most famous matches. Plus, Chris Jericho's A Lion's Tale will be the subject of this month's book club. All that and more is yours at postwrestlingcafe.com.